too, so I'll just go ahead and start, and then when people jump on, people jump on. But I really just wanted this to be short and sweet today. I think that that's much more helpful for you guys rather than dragging out and going through a bunch of different motions. Really, right now, honest to God, that like the number one question, I'm sure everybody's going to shake their heads like this as opposed to this, that the number one question that we get on a daily basis is, hey, how's the market? But right now, more than ever, it's more like, hey, how's the market? And it's coming from a completely different place and perspective. And so now more than ever, it's time for us to understand that how we answer that question is everything. And yeah, it's going to go back to the same way that I've always tried to answer that question, which is they're basically prospecting you at that point, and understand that that's the fact of the matter. Unless they're not, then in which case they're just nosy, which that's fine. You can also still answer the question differently than just about any other real estate agent that's ever answered that question. You're going to have somebody that's going, well, actually, I'm still really busy. Well, that's tone deaf. Or, God, everything is just stopped, full tilt, we're done. That's even worse. That invitation for you to offer some information is an invitation for you to figure out what it is that they really want to know about. And so how I've always talked about answering that question, it's, well, that's an interesting question, because right now things, even in the real world, outside of real estate, are changing minute by minute. So the answer to that question changes day by day. And quite frankly, I don't have a crystal ball, but really, there are 4 different markets, and it's, are you interested in buying, selling, renting, or investing? Because really the information that I can provide to you is completely different based on what you're interested in. So with that being said, what are you interested in and what can I help with? Answering that question that way invites them into actually giving you the meat of what they're really trying to get at. So, how you answer that question from there really depends on how much market knowledge you've got right now. And this is the time right now to do one of 2 things. And it's, one, to build your knowledge base, to be as up to date as humanly possible on all of the market statistics, all of the information that we can access, or even just skill building. And then number 2, over communicating with everybody, whether the people that you did business with 4 years ago, 6 years ago, your best friends, uncles, aunts, cat's best friend, whoever it is, or the people that have ghosted you in the past, right? So over communication and knowledge building really are the 2 things. If we focus on those 2 things right now, we'll be able to answer that question. But starting with, that's interesting. I know things are wild right now. They're changing minute by minute, but really, what are you most interested in learning more about, and how can I help, is going to completely change the way that you're perceived. And it positions you to be able to have a powerful position rather than just answering the question, business is still booming. That door slams in your face faster than you can say jackrabbit. So what I want to try to accomplish today, or my hope to accomplish, is one of 2 things: to give you a couple of takeaways that you can go with, and then 2, help you understand that we're in the business of not really trying to puff things up or overblow a certain situation. We're here to just say how things are. And the more that we know how things are, the better we can articulate how things are right now. So, and I am going to share like John said, I'm no internet influencer. I'm not the best in the world at all this. All right. And away we go. So, how's the market? We've already gone over how positioning yourself to answer that question in an open and informative way is going to go a long way in helping you have more productive conversations and keep everything moving forward. You know, really right now, three things are super important. And number one is safety first. Yes, absolutely. We're not trying to blow it off. We're not trying to blow it out of proportion. Safety first. Yes, 100%. There are different things that we have to do right now with buyers and sellers in order to abide by the guidelines that the CDC has put out and what the governor's telling us we need to do. But as an essential service, it's an opportunity for us to be the agent of reason and resolve right now. And love him or hate him, but Dave Ramsey says when getting help with money, whether it's insurance, real estate, or investments, you should always look for someone with the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. That's true right now more than it ever has been. But how we educate depends on how many conversations we can actually get to have, and how many conversations we get to have depends on the answer we give to that question. Hey, how's the market? So right now, number one, we got to see things as they are. Yes, the first rule is safety first. The next thing is we have to find ways to keep our business moving forward, whether that's understanding that, yes, there are a lot of people that are in a situation of, oof, you know, now is not the right time for me. I'm going to hit the pause button. We're going to wait till all this stuff flies over. I get that. There's a lot of data to prove that there's both sides of this spectrum. There's also other people that just got married, just had a baby, just got divorced, just have an elderly parent that might now need to move in with them. Now I gotta sell my house. I gotta buy another house. I need to move, or maybe it's time for me to actually buy a house. Now, that's all about seeing things as they are. And in order to do that, we have to understand the intricacies of the different parts of our market. And that's just by keeping up to date with the information that's available to us. And I'm going to give you guys as much information as I can share. And there's some real crucial information that's available for free all over the place, none the least of which is the information that we're able to glean from our current MLS, but also from the National Association of Realtors, also from Inman. Oh gosh, you know, Keeping Current Matters. You could Core Logic. You can go everywhere to find things. It's just a matter of actually going and using this time to your advantage as opposed to your disadvantage. Because when we come out on the other side of this, and we will come out on the other side of this, the thing that's really going to be interesting is how many people that are currently renting an apartment with a roommate are going to say, you know what, I'm in a financial position. We might as well go buy a house together or people living by themselves, they're like, I'd rather go buy a house with my best friend and have them live with me for a couple of years because I just got to be around people. Or how many, it's going to be really interesting to see how people's behavior changes on the other side of this as a result of being cooped up with all of our family for a really long time, or being by ourselves. So it's really seeing things as they are. And what that means is right now it's, yes, keep the business rolling forward, which over communicating is going to help you. I like to call it stocking the fridge. That's not a very good analogy to use right now with everybody running out and freaking out and trying to stockpile groceries, but stock the fridge, meaning build your pipeline. This is the opportunity now to get with the people that you haven't talked to or touched in 4, 5 years, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that time frame may be, or never, or the people that ghosted you in the past. And that's okay to just reach out and start from a human perspective. I'm just checking on you. I know things are kind of crazy. We had a conversation whenever it was, and things didn't work out. I'm just curious if there's any questions that I can answer for you. It doesn't have to go that fast. And by all means, safety first, people first, build a relationship, but stock the fridge. Now is the time to build that pipeline. And how we do it is over communicating. And by over communicating, I mean, I can't tell you right now, I've never spent as much time on the phone in my entire professional career or in my life as I have in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it's just making sure that everybody's doing all right. And it's remarkable how much time that takes up, but doing it is 10 times more valuable than not doing it. And so now over communicating really means every single person that you've already had contact with, make a personal touch, check on them, see how things are going, see if there's anything you can do for them. And also offer to set a time, 15 to 30 minutes, whether it's a Google Hangout or whatever it might be, do it. Figure out how you can educate those folks during that time. And make a promise to yourself, number 3, to be a voice of reason during this time of crisis. It's easy to let things get blown out of proportion. Right now, it's our job to not tell people what they want to hear, but tell things how they are. And so how do we be that voice of reason? First, obviously, feeling the question in that proper way. I know I'm being repetitive here, but hey, how's the market? You know, that's interesting. Things are changing day by day. I know, I'm sure in your world, things are changing day by day too. But I'm curious, what is it that you're most interested in? Buying, selling, investing, or renting? Because the information I can share with you is vastly different based on whatever it is that you're interested in. And so with that being said, what are you most interested in and how can I help? Growing your knowledge base helps you because obviously the end of that question, that's not the end of the conversation. They're going to say, well, you know, actually my mom's getting old and we're thinking about moving her in with us. And so we're thinking about maybe potentially buying another house and we're going to have to sell ours. And we're just not sure how to time this whole thing. Right. Or, oh, well, you know, I've been in my house for a really long time and, you know, I've been around my wife a long time and gosh darn it, the walls are closing in on us. And I feel like that decision to downsize was a really bad idea. Whatever the answer to that question is, you got to answer the next question. I can give you that first response all day long, but the answer to the next question is determinant on your knowledge base and what you've grown. So grow your knowledge base and then over communicate. I cannot stress this, whether it's the people that are now rocking and rolling. Yes, we got to over communicate because we can't get in front of people. We can't do the little small things that pop in our head when we're in front of somebody having a conversation, be it with a closing attorney or an inspector or whatever that might be. We gotta be thoughtful in how we over communicate. And over communication right now is not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing to over communicate. What we say matters, yes, but how much we're in contact with the people that we really want to do business with or are already doing business with is a big deal. And also those people that have said, you know what, I'm pushing the pause button until this whole thing smooths over. They didn't say stop calling me until this is all done. It just said we're not ready to make a decision now. Now you can keep fueling their funnel. You can keep giving them information that's useful to them. So when they do actually come out and reconsider, which they've already said, we're going to sometime, it's just not right now, then you're already there. You don't have to scramble the jets. And how we do that, like I just mentioned, book 15 to 30 minute sessions and then focus on education, whether it's 5, 6, 10, 35 meetings a week, or whatever it might be. I say the more the better, because then you get better at doing it. Just like with these calls. I mean, we're all getting a lot more comfortable at staring at our own faces on video, right? To focus on education. Give them the information. You got to go get the information first. That's growing your knowledge base. But 2, give them the information. And really to focus on its historical data versus current data. Now, I don't know if everybody can actually see all of this, but one of the biggest things is everybody's talking about, well, is the presidential election going to impact real estate? Well, yes, election years are always tricky times for the marketplace, but backing up facts about how economic downturns actually improve home values and home prices is a valuable piece of information, and how during 3 of the last 5 recessions, real estate has actually appreciated. The only other time besides 2008, 1991, that recession, we actually saw a negative GDP that year. It's one of the few years we actually have seen negative GDP growth. Right now, I mean, you're still looking at 2.73, 3.54, 4.5% appreciation projections, all from the Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, the National Association of Realtors, Freddie Mac. We're talking 4.5 to 5% across the board for the next year. Yes, is the economy are we going to have a pretty crappy couple of months here from the economy writ large? Yes, absolutely. But when we come out of this, like I said, people's behavior, how many people are going to go on buying sprees, go out to eat 4 nights a week, go visit their friends more than they've ever visited them before? And also, too, you're going to see a whole lot of people that have taken a pretty big lick in the market jump and diversify portfolios into real estate. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. But however, being the voice of reason for that is crucial. And the amount of reason that you can spread to the world and educate people about our current situation and how things are going to go going forward is all based on the amount of information we collect, put in our brains, lock away, and then help share that information with the rest of the world. Now, where do we go for this information? Now, you've just gotten 2 pieces of information from NAR, which these are the first 2 that you'll see here. And I encourage you, I strongly encourage you to visit this weekly, because both of these, both the weekly housing market monitor and the NAR flash survey for economic pulse. Now, what this covers is buyer sentiment, positivity, negativity, the different reasons why people are still looking, what they're thinking about in terms of pricing increase or decrease, et cetera, et cetera. They're great. They are great tools. And I think that you'll actually be able to show people that they might be shocked at how positive buyer and seller sentiment is in both of these reports. Now, this new one is from April 9th, so it's a day old. I would really highly recommend that you guys visit both of these on a weekly basis at a minimum. Use them, burn them into your brains. They're already emailed to you. They're in your inboxes. They're about 10, 15 pages a piece. So go for it. The next piece, CoreLogic. CoreLogic is a very, very, very highly respected group that collects insights and data based on market statistics. Now, I'll share something with you. Now, this is from just from April 7th, as a matter of fact. And what we were looking at, so April 7th, 3 days ago now, that U.S. home prices on a national scale were heating up prior to this outbreak. Adjusted for inflation, U.S. home prices have increased across the board 2.2% year over year in February. We're still 11% below that 2006 peak. There's still room to grow. It's pretty amazing to see how good the housing market was. And now what makes this different, both from, let's address what people are freaking out about, the basic recession that we've been essentially put into detention as a country, as a world, and as a result of that, people being told that they can't conduct business, the world is going into a recession, which essentially a recession means simply that the economic output is negative correlative to a previous quarter. That's really all it means. Yes, we are in a recession right now, and it probably started, I don't know, give or take March 20th, March 21st. But the biggest thing about it is that once this is lifted, I think we're going to have to prepare for a surge in economic growth and development. Now, yes, there's going to be a lot of lingering ill effects, but the more that we equip ourselves with this data, understanding that price growth is still happening, transactions are still happening, no matter what, whether it's buying or selling, whether it's investing or it's renting, stuff is still happening right now. People are going to do business, and they need to do business with the people that have their best interest at heart. And how we do that, how we answer, how's the market? The market is pretty darn solid right now from a fundamental standpoint. Yes, things are slowing down. But for the people that still need our help, it's time for us to step up to the plate and over communicate. For the people that have said, I'm choosing for my health and well-being, safety first, to put the pause button on right now, that's fine. That's what we got to go do. That's how we answer, how's the market? And always remember that it's not what you bear, but rather how you bear it. Okay, now that being said, back to my face and this really weird glare that comes from this window that's in my office that makes me look like I've got hat head, which is fun. Okay. I want to open this up for the next, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I want to try to keep this at 30, 35, 40 minutes if possible. I want to open this up for questions for anybody that has any questions or any need, anything that you guys have been seeing in terms of people asking you about the market. What's the response been for everyone? Don't all talk at once.
I think a lot of the questions I've been getting are from the buy side, people wanting to know, are sellers going to be dropping prices drastically, or are sellers going to be ripping their homes off the market? What are things that I should be scared about is basically the questions that scared about or really excited about are the questions that I've kind of been getting. And I've just been kind of talking to them about these are such unprecedented times. We really don't know what's going to happen from day to day, and just talking to them kind of what you said about like, here's what we know today. We can expect, just from a bigger picture, an economic downturn for some amount of time because of everything that's happening, not just in real estate, but just kind of keeping them abreast of what we're seeing as far as inventory and things like that from a day-to-day perspective.
Well, and that's an interesting question because and you will really, really, really enjoy what NAR is providing to everybody as a result of this, which is this is information that we have really needed to have provided. Gosh, I would have loved a weekly market update that is as good and useful as these are. 72% of sellers are not lowering their prices as it relates to in the last week. And right now, buyer interest right now, yes, buyer interest has declined in some cases, but really at a maximum, we're talking about a 1/4 to 30% decline in buyer activity. People are not out there looking at houses, but they sure as heck are still at home. And according to the survey that's done here of buyers, this is according to NAR, you're talking about close to, well, in excess of 50% of buyers active in the market right now do not expect prices to drop by more than 5%. Now, obviously that's a survey, but really for us right now, where we are, housing price and how that actual pricing metric works is generally a function of the labor force overall. And really in Greenville County, there has been, don't get me wrong, there's been a great amount of disruption in the housing market, but writ large, even in the 2008 recession, our businesses and our infrastructure stayed fairly strong. Now, yes, the international businesses, specifically Boeing and Michelin, BMW and Michelin and ZF Transmissions, a couple of other automotive manufacturers, obviously their stuff is going to slow down, and that's going to have an impact on wages here in town. But really what I'm most concerned about is people in the service industry, those folks that, and then the smaller business owners. Now, do I have a crystal ball as to how this is all going to play out from them? No, I don't. But as a result of that, I still feel like where we are right now, home prices are going to be affected negligibly, if at all. And right now, I think that for the people that have their homes on the market, they might, you might luck up and catch a good price, a fair price, because those people that still have elected to have their homes on the market still need to sell their house. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing for them. So, to answer that question, Brandy, it's not a hard and fast rule, but I can tell you what buyer sentiment is. And more often than not, buyers' sentiment about buying a house hasn't been affected much, at least right now, at least in this week. So.
That's great. Thank you, Richard.
Any other questions or conversations that we want to have?
I read something yesterday, I think, that even if like buyers do slow down actually going through with transactions right now, they're sitting at home shopping like crazy online. So,
yep.
And I think a lot of people too are finding out how much they dislike their home they're in right now. So they are figuring out exactly what they want and shopping online and they might wait until this thing's over with, but they're still shopping. So having an online presence is pretty huge right now.
I 100% agree. And that's the key there with over communication right now. And now, we can Zoom call everybody in our entire phone book all day long. So I think that's an excellent point, Keith. Lindsay, Angela, Beth, Eliza, John, Jason, anybody want to have a thought or any burning question that you want to discuss?
I would just say thoughts as far as it coming into the spring market. I have gotten some questions from people saying, how is this affecting the market? It's the spring market, so is more going to be out there? Should I wait, see what happens? And pretty much like Brandy said, we don't know. So if you see something, because I'm still seeing a struggle in certain price points. I've been in multiple offer situations twice this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like if they can do it, I'm telling my buyers, you have to make that choice for yourselves. But if you financially feel comfortable with your job and where you are, I encourage you to do what you feel is best, because who knows if that's going to change. We've seen the inventory. I keep hoping that it'll help us with inventory at some point. But right now it's not. Things are being listed, but we still don't have enough. And I feel like we still have enough buyers looking in certain price points that we're still challenged.
Well, and even if you want to go with a month's inventory, we're creeping down almost below 3 months inventory. We're still starved as a business for inventory. That's been the question for us for what, the better part of a year and a half, at least the better part of a year and a half. So, I think that now is probably the best time ever to be very specific in their search and be particular about what they want. Like to Keith's point, there's a lot of people that are figuring out what it is they can't stand about their house right now. And it's not trying to puff the situation up or downplay it, but let's really commit to digging in and having that conversation where sometimes somebody might have been starved to get a house and say, well, you know, I really don't like this or that, but it's really where I want to go. But now you think about statistics and buyer behavior, you've got people, unmarried couples or single individuals, even married couples that have a pet, that are saying that they'd rather buy a house near a dog park than they would based on school zoning. So, I mean, now it's really like, we got to dig in what is really important and understand that it might take a while, but silver lining, it's going to take a while anyways, because I don't know when we're going to be able to get out of here, but we are at some point. So.
Well, and just another on that flip side with the listing part, to Keith's point, I have some people relocating from Florida. I helped the parents and now the children. The children's house sold, and Florida's being a little bit stricter about the shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
The parents' house, they're unique situations, like 12 plus acres. So to do the drones, to do the pictures that really showcase, especially they have people that want to see the house and they can't get there. And the son was saying about the parents' house, they have two different realtors. The parents' realtor didn't necessarily do the drones, the Matterports, all of those things, whereas the children's house, they had all of that and they sold it. So just, again, it's an investment, and that's what the son was saying to me. Like, I don't feel like their agent has invested in the property and in them. So I know it's tough for some of us depending on what our revenue is, but we need to think about that from a listing standpoint. To Keith's point, we need to give our sellers everything we can, as if no one's ever going to walk the door.
I mean, and even if you don't have necessarily the budget for it right now, just being willing to adapt and pivot to all of the different online platforms at your disposal. I mean, shoot, you can take, my phone's in the other room, but I mean, you can take a 360 picture, upload it to Zillow 3D, and that's more than what some people are being able to have offered for their show. I mean, and what's the vast majority, whether or not I want to like that, where the vast majority of people going? Zillow, to search for their houses, because people are shopping online like crazy. And at the very least, if you can offer them that 3D option, I mean, I don't know if you guys have fiddled around with it, but I have it, and it's neat. It's really nice. And it doesn't cost you anything. So, you know, I totally agree. It's, you know, for us to pay it forward, if we're going to sell the house, well, that $300 or $400, $500 investment that we have up front for higher quality pictures, Matterport technology or 3D or whatever that video walkthrough videography, that's investing in the seller client right now. And that's that's just true. And you can be upfront and honest with them. Like, listen, here's what we're going to do. I know this is strange, but you got to get out of here. What I'm going to do, I'm putting whatever that is, budget of my own money into marketing and selling your house. Here's how all that stuff is going to work, and this is how we're going to get your home sold. So, all right, great point. But yeah, I mean, long story short, the more that we can just be safe, find a way to keep the business moving forward, and then still find a way to build our pipeline right now while all this is going on. That's it.
As far as doing like a video and stuff on the cheap,
Mm-hmm.
one I saw the other day was Bill Rhodes did one for a new listing of his, and pretty sure it was through that Videolicious.
Yeah, it was. I texted him as soon as I saw that. Yeah, he uses Videolicious pretty exclusively.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, and that's free. So. And
I mean, you do not need to have a graphic design degree to use that thing.
Not at all. You just have to have somebody hold the camera if you want to talk. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the only thing. And the only other investment that he made in was a little small lapel mic. That's another piece. So, okay.
Heard
What else we got? Yes, Liza, what's up?
I'm just curious what your opinion is about us sharing market information on social media. Now, I realize that's not a personal contact. It's just kind of throwing it out there, but I'm just curious to hear you speak about that.
The only thing that I would say to make absolutely certain of, yes, you can share, here's what's going on in the marketplace, as long as you cite your sources. It's just like a term paper. As long as we cite where the information came from, and also too, if possible, the date that the information was shared. So like, for example, sharing this weekly market update, it's from National Association of Realtors weekly market, whatever it is that you can say. I mean, now obviously you can just type it all out there at the bottom and that's all we got. Or if it's from GGAR, here's what the source is and the title of the source. That's the thing for us to be able to watch, because if we're giving information, obviously LLR doesn't look kindly on giving false information. We want to know where it is and then have somebody be able to find it. And so if you can say, oh, come on, no, it's from the National Association of Realtors weekly market update from April 6th to the 9th, and here you go. It's in providing supplementary links. You know, some social media services are funky with being able to show that, especially in Instagram. But like, for example, in Facebook, if you want to provide a link to where the data came from, but it's coming out of your voice, I don't see any negative to having a link to that too. Who knows? The people might get in there, dig around and look and find something informative themselves.
Yeah. Okay. And then also, what about just sharing it with a particular buyer? Would you share reports if they ask for it? Would you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's not about puffing it up or bringing it down. It's about, here's what it is and here's the numbers. Now, granted, layering that conversation, now obviously if you're going to use GGAR data, that's different than using NAR data, because NAR is going to go nationwide and GGAR is going to be able to distill it down on a more local level. And you can just say, now listen, as it relates, do a little extra legwork and say, you know, as it relates to our market here in GGAR, then you can pull some MLS statistics, whether it's days on market or average list to sell price or whatever that might be, that would be helpful for the buyer or the seller. And then say, you know, take it for what it's worth. We're a little bit higher up here or a little bit lower down here, give or take, but this is national data and we can't really get it ironclad specific to your property, but it's a good barometer on how things really are. Okay. All over the country. So,
okay, that's helpful.
Okay, guys. Well, have a good Friday. Good Friday, and the actual Good Friday. Be safe out there. Know that I'm here as a resource for anybody. If you need anything at all, I hope this was productive, and have a safe and happy Easter weekend. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You got it.
Bye.